that I'd been working so hard on listening to said, "He just wants to talk to you. Relax. You deserve to have someone call you out of the blue just because he wants to hear your voice." I listened to that voice this time. It was the same voice I'd listened to a few days earlier when I pushed myself out of my comfort zone and started speaking to him in a more complimentary tone. He wasn't reciprocating every single time, but he was happy to receive the compliments. And at that point, that's all that mattered to me. He was trying to overcome a toxic past, and for him to accept a compliment was a huge step. I felt happy someone had accepted my praise. That inner voice took me so far past my comfort zone that I surprised myself. I wasn't used to telling someone how much I wished I could see them. That thought alone, to tell someone I wished I were in their presence, made me blush uncontrollably. I somehow felt ashamed for expressing that, for wanting that, for admitting that. You see, in my culture, talking about feelings and romance is taboo. It's only for the movies and TV shows. It's like, as a child, you could watch these shows, but you had to know what happened in them couldn't happen in real life. It was a kind of cognitive dissonance. That happens and it's okay for others to experience it, but if I did it, I would be in trouble. At least that's how I grew up in a tiny village in Lebanon. Everyone was of the Muslim faith, on paper. The mosque was right across from my house, and I grew up with a heavy religious education. That education drew hard lines between girls and boys, men and women. As a child, this is how I saw relationships. One day, your knight in shining armor sees you somehow, even though you're hidden. He says he's in love with you and wants to marry you, and boom, you live happily ever after. Ironically, way at the other end of the world, the part of the world where I'd eventually learn how misguided that notion of relationships is, Disney movies taught girls the same thing. I now know this is a narrative springing from misogyny and patriarchy, which unfortunately know no borders, rather than specific religions or cultures. I could write books about this, but let's get back to the voice I was talking about. Because whenever I listened to that voice, I slept better and felt happier. I decided on this morning to listen to that voice too. So I told him how excited I was to see him. Because he was so busy with work, we had decided to meet in a month's time, but that voice had told me a few days before this call that if I wanted to see him sooner, I should just let him know. So I did so in a text message. He said he would let me know when he could see me within the next week. I thought this was great. I had convinced myself that I needed to be more expressive because I knew, given his toxic past, which he'd briefly mentioned, he had trust issues. I'd better make him feel secure with me, I thought. I'd better make him feel valued and wanted. At the first moment of awkward silence in our phone call, I said, "I know I may have been saying things you're not fully ready to hear, but I hope hearing them reminds you of how valuable you are." Those things I'd said were innocent compliments and affirmations. And then he said, "That's the thing. I don't think we should talk anymore." Let me freeze this moment for you and explain exactly how I felt. I was shocked, but at the same time, I really wasn't. I knew this moment was coming. I wasn't actually happy with our dynamic. I knew I wasn't happy. In retrospect, I confused the happiness being vulnerable and speaking my mind gave me with him making me happy. But his lack of reciprocation always left me feeling confused. Getting emotion or attention from him was like running a race with the illusion there was a finish line. So you keep running, and the finish line keeps moving farther and farther away from you. Against all the odds of how I thought I would respond, I actually fell quiet. I could feel my body shrink and curve. My oversized sweater felt like the closest thing to a hug I could get during this moment, which felt like it would never end.